Hello viewers, Tim Poole here with Gaming America. I'm with Brian Parrish, the COO of the Osage Nation Gaming Enterprise. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Tim, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, as I say, it's an honor to speak with you because of your experience in the industry. Can we start off by asking about your current role and activities with the tribe at the moment?
Absolutely. I'm very pleased and proud to be working for the Osage Nation, Oklahoma-based tribe. We have 7 different casino hotel operations spread across Osage County, which is the largest county in Oklahoma. And so we've got plans for expansion, development, modernization, IT technology enhancements, lots of different things. So very robust business plan and excited about where we're going as an enterprise.
Mm-hmm. So I've already touched upon your experience. You've been in the industry for, it's over 30 years. It's a long time. And I'm sure you've learned a lot. In terms of your biggest lessons and biggest takeaway points, and there's probably a lot, but if you could single out one or two, maybe for kind of anyone coming into the tribal gaming industry at the moment, what would your kind of biggest takeaway points and advice be?
Probably lots of things. I could spend all day talking about some of those types of things. But, for me personally, it's very gratifying to work in Indian country because you can see who your shareholders are. You can see that the revenue you're generating is going to build homes and provide education and food security and water security and things like that for communities, and it's vitally important. Mm-hmm. The Osage Nation has well over 1,000 years of documented history in the region of the Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas regions. And so, that of course predates the U.S. by a long ways. But I've worked for 4 different tribes and been CEO or COO for all of them. And the lessons are all very similar, and that's that sovereignty and self-determination is vitally important. And if it wasn't for gaming and the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act that was signed into law by the late President Reagan back in 1988, the tribes wouldn't have these capabilities to be more economically interdependent and have the ability to improve quality of life for their membership. So it's very, very gratifying. I did work in Las Vegas for 16 years and really enjoyed that. It's a great experience. You have to learn to run at a sprint. Every day the volume of transactions and things that you have to deal with force you and teach you to really think on your feet, and it's a great learning experience. So I was grateful to have that as a foundation and then be able to take that and apply it in Indian country.
Yeah, certainly. I think it goes without saying that tribal gaming, or gaming in general, has changed in the time since you kind of entered the industry. But what are the kind of the biggest changes, most notable ways in which gaming has, let's say, changed?
Every tribe is different. They have different histories, different objectives, different cultures and tolerances for things. And it takes time for all of them to find their own way. And I think an important message and takeaway, at least from my experience, is that, my family's Irish on both sides. And so I'm not Native American, but my wife is. And I know that I'm a guest in these communities. And so it's important and incumbent upon me to, when I come into a tribal environment, is earn trust, show that I'm here for the right reasons to help, that I am there to help them make good decisions that make sense to further the quality of life for their membership and create security and stability. And so I have to earn my trust. Just because I have a title or a position doesn't mean that that gives me authority to venture outside what my job duties and responsibilities are. I'm a guest in the community, and I have to show respect for doing that. And by taking that approach, I found that really works. So I've built long-lasting quality relationships with tribal leaders and the tribal employees over time, and they've become my best friends over the years. And so I enjoyed commercial gaming, but there's a tendency not to be able to forge those relationships because the focus is so different.
Absolutely, no, that's something I've definitely heard that's consistent from people who've worked in both. And it's a very humble kind of perspective that you take there, and I can see how that can certainly earn respect from people. When it comes to, you spoke at a panel yesterday, and you've got one coming up as well again today. This interview will air by the time that panel's over, so I suppose in one way I'm asking you to look back and tell us about the panel yesterday and maybe predict the future and tell us what you're going to say at the next panel. One was on cashless yesterday, I believe.
Yes, Tim, thank you. And, the cashless gaming is evolving. I think at some point in the future it will be a significant part of the gaming experience that everybody has. Right now there's only 8 to 10 states in the United States that have approved cashless gaming. There's a lot of issues with technology and things like that. It's also an education issue. Everybody has to understand how it works and why. Money handling in gaming, whether it's credit or cashless type of gaming, is very much about security and convenience, but people have to have trust in the processes and how it works. We were laughing on the panel yesterday talking about how there are some of us like me that I still hold on to my checkbook, right? I enjoy handwriting checks and things like that because I'm touching it, I feel it, I see it. It's the same thing with counting currency. Right now the operators can go and they pull a hot can out of a machine and they can take it to a soft count and they count it down and they see the dollars, they record it, it runs through a counter, and you can touch it and you know exactly what's happening with your business. So then you get in the cashless environment and everything is automated and you lose that comfort and that touch. And so much about this is getting comfortable with the technology, understanding that you're not going to have that kind of physical reassurance with some of it, and that it's not going to be for everybody. But the technology has to be seamlessly integrated, it has to work well, and it has to be auditable and something that gives people comfort. So overall time, I think it's going to take root. Certainly younger people that are more technology savvy are much more quicker to accept. But as time goes on, we think it will become an important part of how Class 3 gaming works across the U.S.
Sure, and then a word on the panel that you're going to have.
So today the panel we're talking about is improving guest experience, and how do you do that through data collection and gathering information, and how do you measure it? And so some of the thoughts that I've been sharing and putting together, preparing for questions and things is, our customers, our players are not created equal, right? It's kind of interesting in the gaming environment as it's really based on value and worth and contribution. And so just like you have to prioritize your players, you have to prioritize the feedback that you get. And you want to be proactive and responsive to the feedback that you're collecting and prioritizing it and using it to make improvements. And the players are going to give you that feedback. In the case that they don't want to participate in those collection systems, your staff, your team members, your employees are the best source of that information as well. So take time to stop and listen, break that information down, communicate it back, but prioritize it and then make good on the suggestions and the feedback that they're giving you. And so we've got a lot more data that we can share on that. There's a lot of interesting biases that when people get information, how has it been influenced? Social media, that's certainly an issue. It's just like focus groups, right? You get into a focus group and you can have one very vocal person that ends up kind of artificially steering the dialogue. And it kind of changes some of the data that you're going to collect. It's really the same thing with social media. But when you're surveying one-on-one people, you really get a more specific look at what their perceptions are, and you can still use that and measure it. It's still good to have the social media side of things, but temper it and understand the value that it brings, and then also some of the potential limitations with it. But nevertheless, it's critical to listen to your guest and then be responsive to what they're telling you.
Yeah, really interesting point there about how kind of data samples can someone's data could be influenced by someone else, as you say, kind of a leading voice. A final question from me, and data is still very relevant to this one. In your tribe, you've got a digital optimization strategy upcoming. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and obviously just how important it is for tribes essentially to keep up and stay ahead of digital trends?
Tim, thanks for bringing that issue up again. And so this is a really important issue for us, and we're hoping that it is for all of the tribes in Native American gaming. Digital optimization strategy is really sitting down and developing kind of a master specification in terms of how all the touch points and systems and services that are automated that you provide, how they all interact in one ecosystem. But they also have to have all the data sovereignty and data security and controls and things in place that really safeguard the information properly, but they still provide frictionless, seamless services. And so if it's convenient and easy and it inspires trust, people will use it. And that's why it's so important to stop and develop that digital optimization strategy or specification. And once that spec is in place, you just keep going back to that and making sure that at every stage of your development and your implementation of these resources that you make sure it matches up. There's a lot of pressure on operators to generate more revenue and keep up with the Joneses. And well, everybody else is doing this, so we should too. But that's not always the right pressure to succumb to. You really need to stop, think through it. Hey, we're going to be a little more disciplined. We're not going to be first to market with it, but we will be best once we execute it, and people will migrate to us. Because if the technology doesn't work and all the other components don't fit well together the way they need to, customer's not going to use it anyway. You're not going to get the return on investment, and you're going to be spinning your wheels and frustrating your team and your guest in the process. So I think it's a great discipline to have. It means you slow things down a little bit, but in the end you'll accelerate and you'll have a better result.
Well, Brian, thanks very much for your time. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Tim, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure spending time with you.